Commerce and Tourism Committee. I'm Councilwoman Janice Hahn. I'm joined by Councilmember Bill Rosendahl. Tom LaBonge is not going to be with us this morning. He called me early this morning to say he was attending a school function in his district, and he would not be here this morning. So, without objection, Councilmember Rosendahl, you want to take item 4 on consent? If that's okay. All right. And then we have a commission appointment, and then we have 2 airport issues. Why don't we take the 2 airport issues together, sure. And then 5, and then we'll have the harbor last but not least. Okay. So let's take item 1.
Under item 1, the mayor submits for council confirmation his appointment of Ms. Susan A. Rodriguez to the Board of Commissioners of the Los Angeles Convention and Exhibition Center Authority for the term ending on January 16, 2009. And by making this appointment, the mayor wishes to fill the vacancy that was created by the withdrawal of Ms. Delilah Sotelo in November of 2007. The City Ethics Commission the Executive Director has submitted a report on Ms. Rodriguez's statement of financial interests.
Great. Well, thank you. Welcome here. We understand you're a resident of CD 13.
Yes. Echo Park. I grew up in Wilmington, the Carson area. I went to Mary Starr for a few years before I graduated from Banning. So
okay, your
first scuba diving experience off Point Ferben area. So
okay, so
lived everywhere.
That's great. You're a local girl from a number of local areas. One of the things I always like to ask people who are getting appointed to this commission is just to talk a little bit. There's 2 commissions obviously that have oversight of the convention center. One is well, you're being asked to be appointed to the Convention and Exhibition Center Authority, and this is a joint powers authority between the city and the county, and it has more kind of a financial bent, if you will. How do you see your appointment to this commission, and maybe just kind of the future of our convention center? The facilities, is this a good time to be upgrading the facilities of the convention center, particularly with LA Live coming downtown? I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, and your thoughts about the other commission, and how do you 2 work together?
I don't have any personal hands-on experiences how the 2 work together. I've actually reviewed the joint powers agreement. I find it very interesting. I have a legal background. And as an attorney, we do a lot of public sector work, quite frankly. So the Brown Act and the Joint Powers Agreement concepts interest me. And when I saw that, I realized, looking at that document, how important the authority is in its capacity to engage in contracts and to sue and be sued in its name. And I think that it can serve a vital role, and I would like to be a part of that in working with expanding it and upgrading it. I understand at West Hall that there's discussion about upgrading it to match the amazing architectural vision for LA Live. And I think it's absolutely fascinating and exciting that LA Live is being developed, having worked and grown up in this area, and the best thing going.
Exciting.
It's very exciting.
Very exciting.
And to see all of that being constructed instead of where there used to be a parking lot is extremely exciting, and I find it really great that the convention already is generating over $1 billion in revenue and sustaining 12,000 jobs, and I think that LA Live is only going to enhance that further, and that I think working on in the authority to upgrade and give a new look to the West Hall, I think would be helpful.
Good. Well, obviously the city is facing its own kind of a budget crisis, and we're really looking to see your commission kind of think outside of the box and how we might, finance some of those improvements, maybe public-private partnerships. And the other thing we always like to toss out to this commission is Bill and I feel like the time is right to maybe look to building a mini conference center along Century Boulevard, close to LAX. We've heard over and time again that it's not competitive to our convention center. In fact, there's a real a niche opening out there for mini conference centers for people who fly into LAX. So we always like to plant that in the seeds of those of you who are overseeing the convention center and want you to look at that. We think it's an idea, as we've heard before, of kind of growing up baby conventions in another part of the city. There's also talk down at the harbor of doing the same kind of a thing with the mini conference center on the water. So we'd love to see your commission kind of look to maybe coming up with some plans on how we might accomplish that.
I would certainly support that idea, and I look forward to thinking up of ways. I think it's, I've heard the concept of business incubator out there for the city, and also, the more people who stay in hotels, the better for the convention center.
Right.
With the TOT and going towards the debt. So I think and the more people, the better.
Good.
Indeed, as the chair just said, that's one of my hot button items, and your executive director has done a great job. Things are great. I mean, it went from the red to the black, and it's in the black, and we're moving in that direction even more aggressively. And in my last conversation with him about it, we did use the phrase incubate for the convention center by a conference center. When we went through the budget process, I brought it up again, and in that context, I asked for a report back on different ideas that we could actually start to look at with time frames and so on and so forth. So when you join the commission, we would look forward to you providing leadership with the general manager on how we can do that and how we can move forward on it. And I appreciate you already saying the word incubate, which is exactly the word we were using. Why do you want to be on this commission?
I'm service-oriented. As I was saying earlier, I grew up in Los Angeles. My mother was born and raised here. My mother graduated from Banning High School, and to have the opportunity to give back to the city, I think is fantastic, especially in this context of being in a position where I can actually have voice and contribute. I mean that's a primary reason. And with the center as being this world-class event and being the face of Los Angeles in many respects, I think it's just is a unique opportunity for me to promote Los Angeles. I did go to school back east. I went to Yale undergrad, and then I went to Michigan Law School. And I wanted to experience different parts of the country, different people, but I always knew I was going to come back home and live here. And I love Los Angeles. I really, really do. And I had opportunities to live elsewhere, and I had a great time back east, but this is home.
Well, I really appreciate your energy and your positive spirit. When you mentioned Echo Park, I know a lot of people who live there see this as an up-and-coming cool spot, so you're obviously cool, and you're living in Echo Park, and so you're right on the mark. Of course, it's easier to get downtown than where Janice and I live. It's always a difficult trip.
I've done that commute.
Thank you for stepping up, and we look forward to you providing leadership. We care, of course, about that revenue stream continuing to increase, coming up with creative ideas on that revenue stream, and I'm sure you'll be able to.
Right. And just one more thing to plant in your mind is this idea. We do have amazing assets in Los Angeles, not just the convention center, but we have LAX and we have the harbor.
Absolutely.
And it always feels like we're waiting for someone to have that magic bullet, if you will, to connect the three major areas of this city in a way that increases potential conventions, increases potential tourism, and increases the revenue stream coming into Los Angeles, which benefits all of us. And it doesn't seem like that synergy has happened yet, so we're waiting.
Well, I think with LA Live, it's going to revitalize downtown. Like I've never seen it in my lifetime, anyway. So
I know people are
it's
talking
a great
about.
Start.
But have you seen the fountain down at the harbor? That's awesome.
I love the harbor.
Okay, you would like to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, we'll have unanimous approval of your appointment, and when will you go to City Council?
John White, City Clerk. Ms. Rodriguez and I discussed the date of next Tuesday for council
Okay.
confirmation.
Good. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Go Pilots.
You
Okay.
Move on to item 2.
Yes.
Under item 2, the Board of Airport Commissioners submits for council approval an authorizing resolution for the issuance in one or more series of not to exceed $950 million in airport revenue bonds, which shall bear interest not to exceed 12% per year, and which shall have terms not to exceed 30 years. The authorizing resolution also includes approval of the private sale of such bonds, which is negotiated, not competitive, the selection of underwriting firms for the private sale, and the preparation of all the related documentation, among other purposes. The airport's chief financial officer and the city administrative officer have submitted their respective reports and recommendations as required by the city's procedural ordinance for the issuance of debt.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Natalie Brill at the CAO's office. We've reviewed this as required, and we recommend approval of the sale of not to exceed $950 million of airport bonds.
Great. I mean, one of the questions I would ask is explain to us why this is a prudent way to borrow money to reimburse yourselves.
I'll answer it. Steve Martin, Chief Operating Officer of Los Angeles World Airports. What we're trying to do here is the first real new money issue for LAX in over 10 years. There have been a couple of refundings along the way that were small issues, and this is the first real new money issue. What we're trying to do is set up the framework for rebuilding the airport, and this is the first of a number of issues we expect to do over the next few years, and putting this infrastructure in place.
But that's 220 million. I mean, 220 for the capital improvement projects.
In this issue?
Yeah.
No, it's $950 million.
Oh, okay. I thought the 500 million was to reimburse yourselves.
The $500 million is to put into a debt framework.
Oh, that's to pay for upcoming
Yep.
capital. How much is it to reimburse yourselves?
I think it's 200.
200.
odd million.
Okay.
Yep.
So is that normal?
Yes. Well, it's not exactly normal. What we're trying to do is set up sort of a construction revolving fund where we have capital available to us without having to go to the debt markets that would spend building projects. And then when the projects are done or near done, we would issue debt to put them in a permanent structure. So we're using our own equity or our own cash on hand as a sort of a revolving construction fund. And so we've used that to build the South Airfield and to do the current Tibbet remodeling.
Right.
And we're in reimbursing ourselves, setting ourselves up for the next projects, the backside of Tibbet and the Crossfield Taxiway, et cetera.
And so how far will the 500 million go?
We're spending funds on construction right now somewhere close to $300 or $500 million a year. And so probably we expect to be back in the market in about a year to issue more debt. So once
this 500 million won't pay for,
No.
what will that pay for?
Well, in theory, it would pay for the taxiway, relocated taxiway to the west of the existing maintenance
Okay.
facilities, but it won't be enough to do the backside of Tibbet.
Okay.
So
So
we
you'll
will
have to go back in the
we will have
market.
to issue to do the backside of Tibbet.
And it's better to go negotiate on this as opposed to competitive?
Yeah, the two factors driving our negotiation decision or recommendation are, one, the airport hasn't been in the market for so long with new money that the credit issues are pretty significant. We're about to hit the credit agencies, rating agencies.
What's our bond rating?
AA.
AA.
But we have no debt. So once we have debt, we have a tougher story to sell. So this is sort of the first one we do. The credit issues and maintaining our rating is important. Explaining what we're doing with the capital program is a big part of that.
When do you go hit the agencies?
We're scheduled for June.
The week of June 16th.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
And do you expect to get a good interest rate?
we expect to retain our rating, and we expect to get a really good interest rate. And we're going to have to explain the capital program going forward to
Right.
do that.
And then when you go and visit them, do you tell them that you plan to go back in the market in a year for?
Yeah, the combination of the disclosure documents about additional bonds in the future, we'll have to tell them in that what we're
Right.
doing. And the rating agencies will care a lot about $3, $5, $7 billion of other future expenditures,
Right.
how that affects
Well,
the
how did you land on this 950
It's a combination of the South Airfield
as
project.
opposed to going for more? I mean,
Well, I think the next set of projects, we don't have as good a cost estimate on the project cost to go to the market and say, we know this project cost X.
right.
And I think since we're going to go back multiple times, while the interest rates
Right.
are low today, we'd rather go back with certainty
Is this
about.
a good time right now to go into the market?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it
Interest
is.
rates are low,
Yeah.
historically low.
While there has been some market volatility, Marla Blevins with Los Angeles World Airports, there has been some market volatility due to the subprime mortgage
Right.
crisis. Interest rates are still at historic lows.
Right.
And given the strength of our credit, we feel that it's a
Who will
good
buy
time to
these
issue.
bonds?
Institutions, retail buyers, some smaller buyers, high net worth individuals.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. If it's such a good time now, why isn't the amount a little more? I mean, do we know what will happen in a year?
The problem is that you should usually only borrow debt when you need it, and that's what the rating agencies want to see. You get into issues with, you have money sitting around, and there's arbitrage, and
Right,
so there are rules surrounding
Right.
when really you should issue.
right.
One thing I'd like to add on the cost.
And do they? And again, how's it looked on to borrow money to reimburse yourself?
I think my experience is that's quite positive because there's certainty about what the projects cost. And the replenishment of funds for the next project is a better strategy than borrowing money on the expectation you will build something at some point. And since with the key projects that we expect to build next, we still have to do project-specific EIRs that aren't approved yet. That would be better to have that in hand and then borrow the money.
Right. Okay.
The city does something similar with commercial paper, which is what the airport did.
Right. Right.
Did you want to say something? No. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, good morning. And I think this is a delightful morning. When you said in 10 years we haven't done anything. Well, neither of us were here then, and we're very excited about this moment in time. This is the beginning of the modernization of LAX. And it's a historic moment, frankly, and a wonderful moment. Obviously, we have 5 green-lighted projects that this process will be kicking in. One is the Tom Bradley Terminal, and some of this will go toward that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then we, obviously, with the Tom Bradley, the new dimension is the backsiding of it, which will also be part of this. What's your time frame on the backside?
Actually, no, it won't be
Yeah.
part of this.
No, but I mean, as you go forward in your sequence.
Issuing bonds for the backside will, I think, be within the next 18 months, maybe 2 years. We have the taxiway project first.
Right.
That's probably $200 or $300 million. And then the backside, which is probably more like $500 to $1 billion. And that issuing money on that would have to have a really good cost estimate in a kind of an uncertain construction environment to actually borrow that money. But my guess is between about 18 months out before we do that.
And in that period before the 18 months, the rest of the modernization of Tom Bradley will be moving forward in that initial
Yeah, I think
second
yeah.
letting, maybe?
Yep, it'll be the first part that's underway now would be near completion, just in time to start another construction project, of
Right,
course,
right.
which is the backside of the building. But the backside will benefit from the work we're doing today because the infrastructure,
Right on.
yeah, that we're sinking money into in the building today will
That's
actually
my
support.
point.
Yeah. And when you see this initial monies moving forward over a year period, and then you come back for a second and then a third and so on, when will the trigger mechanism be in place to pass costs on to the airlines that begin to show that the M&O figures will start going up?
Well, there's 2 parts to what the airlines pay, capital charges and M&O. When projects go into service, they trigger on the rate base on capital charges. So let's say the South Airfield project.
Yeah.
When that project is done, it will go into the landing fee and the cost to the airlines will go up. When the current Tibbet improvements are done, that will go into the terminal rentals. It will go up. We are separately negotiating with the airlines to pay more, and you may see it in the next 30 or 60 days, higher M&O charges in Tibbet on a settlement agreement that really covers this project and facilitates the next one.
Very good. And are the airlines, because one of the criticisms in the past, before Gina Maria and her stellar team came together, was the airlines felt left out and weren't aware and weren't cooperated, weren't told. Are they involved with you as we're going forward with this?
Oh yeah, more than I like on a day-to-day basis, but they're around all the time, and they have a kind of a consultative role in the capital program. They don't have a right to disapprove projects or approve projects, but keeping them on side and
Right.
telling them what we're doing is part of what we're doing.
Excellent. And when we've been reading the papers about the A380, we don't even know they're not getting their act together. They're kind of slowing down their time frame. Have you got any additional knowledge about their project and when they'll have it online?
Well, the first A380s are going to come when expected. It's
Right.
the second. The deliveries are lagged after the first set of them. So the first set are coming, I think, in 2010, or 2009. I'm forgetting which it is. But we do have the two gates
Right.
on Tibbet that are finished.
They're ready now.
And do
Ready
you
now.
feel comfortable still, I mean, as you trigger this whole incredible good day for us, that we will have the backside of Tibbet done by 2012?
Oh yes, I think we should.
We'll be totally comfortable on that.
I haven't heard anything that says that we won't make that
Okay.
deadline.
And we will start in this time frame as we move forward, and you'll obviously come back and give us updates and all this. We'll then be able to deal with the midfield terminal, the people mover, and when we discuss the Green Line, its relationship to it.
Yes, and one thing to note on the midfield, moving the hangars, the maintenance facilities that are out there today to a new location is a really key, important part of
Right.
that to keep
Right.
those facilities at LAX.
Right.
So that's a prerequisite to actually doing the midfield, and we're working on that as well.
Very good, and the consolidated rental as well will be in that.
Yeah, and we have started that project too.
It's just all good news, and I'm very happy to see this. Will we get a list of capital projects and timetables on this that this will begin to trigger?
Yeah, the capital project list, I think I'll yield to Ryan, I think is about a month or 60 days out of a reconstituted CIP that you all can look at.
Yeah, we'd like to see that.
Ryan Yakubik with Lava Finance. It will be a list of the capital projects and followed by the phasing and costs and how we pay for it.
Excellent.
Well, so speaking of the airlines being involved, do you take a representative of the airlines when you go back to see the rating agencies?
Actually, the rating agencies are going to come here.
Oh, you don't get to
time,
go back
which
to
is-
Wall Street?
No, it's actually good news for us, I guess. They're coming here, but I think they want to see the facilities. They want to understand the projects. We have thought about whether airline sort of reinforcement is needed. I don't think it is on this deal. I think when we get to the backside of Tibbet, having the airlines that support that project say, we're supporting it and we'll pay for it,
Yeah.
is a key ingredient. But right now, I think we're okay. And the airlines are a little distracted these days with other problems.
Yeah.
So.
They
Okay.
sure are. Do you want to comment at all about the domestic flights and international at this moment? I read in the paper this morning that it might be flat overall for the year.
I think our expectations are basically that this year and next year may be flat traffic at LAX. In some ways, that's going to make some of this financing and construction a little more challenging because the rating agencies like to see growth
Right.
when you're building.
Well,
But I think we're
right.
catching up with old investments.
Because there was another survey that came out this morning that ranked LAX not very high in terms of other airports, but the main criticism was, of course, that we have not upgraded our facilities.
That's fair.
And that's fair. So what we're doing doing today and in the future is it's going to send that message that we are indeed doing it.
Yep.
Any other updates on the custom agents? We know international travel is picking up, everybody knows, and we'll get more. Did we get the backfilling of the 22 slots, and where are we on the status for the 25 additional, do you know?
I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that. I know it's been discussed. I don't know if there's been a commitment.
Okay, 'cause we'd like to know about that, because I don't want to get a call in a month that people are waiting on a plane and
Yeah.
haven't been able to get off, and they've been on the plane for 14 hours
Yeah.
or something from somewhere else.
Yep.
Okay. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. Oh, wait. Arnold Sachs, item 2.
Good morning. Arnold
morning.
Sachs. I just had a couple of questions based on previous things that happened in city council chambers. One, this bond being issued. Last year, I believe, maybe the year prior, there was a bond issue by the city awarded by the city council for, like, when they were talking about the Tibbet renovations. It was the most expensive building, I'm quoting you, Councilman Rosendahl, that was going to be issued by the city. And the city issued this bond for like $500,000. So, and at the same time, or a little bit prior to that, they also did the awarding for a pay raise to Clark McCarthy as management staff for Tibbet renovations. So my question is here you have a bond being issued by LAWA, and we've heard previous discussions regarding management by LAWA. They picked these architects, they picked this management to lead the renovations. Why previously did the city have to issue bonds and offer contract raises to management when it comes back now, but LAWA is able to do pretty much the same thing? And considering the cost for that the bond that was issued by or authorized to be issued by the city was going to be used for the renovations, and at that time there was no discussion about not only renovating Tibbet, but putting in the additions on that would allow for the gates to be added for the new large aircraft. Thank you for your time and your answers. I'm sure you're ready to jump on that.
Thank you, Arnold. Okay, seeing no more public comment on this item, we will move to
Great
approve.
enthusiasm. Looking forward.
Thank
to
you.
it.
And then we were going to go to 5 since it's an airport issue.
Yes. Under item 5, we have consideration of motion Rosendahl Hahn proposing several actions relating to the proposed extension of the Metro Green Line into Los Angeles International Airport. LAWA's representative is here to respond to the motion.
Okay. Mr.
Good
Mike
morning.
Molina, good morning.
Mike Molina, Government Affairs at LAWA. I am a most poor substitute for Deputy Executive Director Roger Johnson, who couldn't be here this morning, who sends his regards and his regrets that he can't be here. But we're here, of course, to continue to say that Los Angeles World Airport supports linking LAX to all forms of public transportation, especially the Metro line system, and therefore we're committed to finding ways to continue to explore how we can take this green line and make it more accessible to the passengers and the workers at LAX. Your motion, Mr. Rosendahl, seconded by Ms. Hahn, addresses this goal of looking at 2 additional stops, one in the area of Century and Aviation, and then another one connecting to LAX property in and around Lot C, both stops that we support, and we look forward to working with you and with the MTA to make happen.
Well, this is a wonderful opening to hear you say all that. That's exactly the direction we're looking forward to. As you might know, this was a draft supplemental impact report done by Metro in 1994, and it was a study that then ended up literally with dust on it for the last 14 years. So we're dusting it off, and we're using this as a base drop to go forward. And in that context, as we spend the $3 to $7 billion, as we just kicked off the first big dollar amount, this must be integrated engineeringly into the people mover. The critical nature is now, and the time frame is now. I don't want to have somebody else 20 years from now say we got to get into the airport when the opportunity to get into the airport is the opportunity that this particular time frame allows us to have. How do you see Metro, which has to appreciate this is not fighting over priorities like these other characters fight over the GO line or the Expo line? It is everybody's stub into the airport, that whenever these other dreams become reality, they could go into that aviation Century multimodal spot and then get into the people mover. Do you envision that kind of cooperation between MTA and LAWA? And what do we need to do to assist you in that?
The cooperation, or at least the collaboration, already exists, that we're continuing talking to Metro about these issues because it's important to both of us. Metro is the lead agent for this project, would certainly be an agency that we continually play a role with when we continue with our specific plan EIR and looking at analysis and studies to connect public transportation to the people mover and to whatever.
But the Green Line extension cannot be in your EIR, correct?
The Green Line extension cannot be part of our EIR
Right.
because we are not the lead agent for an MTA project. So MTA as the lead agent would have to be the ones that would do the EIR for an extension to the
So
Green
your
Line.
specific plan won't won't include this.
The specific plan would include it in that there will still be analysis and study as part of our plan because of a variety of factors, most especially what's going to happen at Manchester Square,
Right.
which is part of the EIR study. So as we continue to discuss the Manchester Square possibilities, a link in proximity to that, for example, the Century Aviation stop, would be an important tool in determining how we bring passengers into LAX. So while we can't be the lead agent to do the EIR, certainly our EIR will include analysis and study to contribute towards that.
And what's important, as Ms. Hahn is saying, is the coordination with the MTA. Will LAWA be able to contribute funds to Metro in order that Metro can update the Green Line EIR as part of access airport issues that would allow them to feel excited? You know, we've put in a couple of motions to get $1 from rental things, and we're coming up with creative financing so we don't impinge on anybody else's priorities. And also, all of this project is done within the borders of the city of Los Angeles, which is also a very exciting strategy. Can we somehow see that cooperation that will incent them? And so that when you do your LAX EIR and complete it, that it is more than just an observation, but an integration of their EIR and yours.
I think, as LAWA said before, or stated before, LAWA is open to financial participation in this, pending FAA approval, pending the studies that we need to do before the FAA finally says, yes, you can pay for it. But, of course, we're open to financial participation.
And are there informal meetings with MTA and you already discussing this so that it isn't like a brand new day for them?
Roger Johnson's shop continues to talk to MTA so that they're aware of what's happening.
But is the general consensus now that the Green Line will never go directly into LAX? It's going to stop at the People Mover, and then the People Mover brings people in?
That's correct. The plan that has been discussed are these two stops.
Yeah.
The concept of the Green Line actually moving into the CTA is not being discussed.
Right, which is, I think that's disappointing. I just want to go on record saying that's disappointing. I remember running for Congress in 1998 and talking about how important it was to get the Green Line extension into LAX. I mean, a lot of the major international airports, you can take transportation right into the terminals. And I still think, it's inconvenient for people to hop off and hop on with your luggage. And I still think that's not the most up-to-date, state-of-the-art public transportation at an international airport in an international city. So I just want to go on record saying that's unfortunate.
Let me go on record with the chair. We have no conversations on this. I agree with her.
We're not allowed to.
I agree with her.
Yeah.
And what I would like to see is taking a fresh look, because it has to be integrated in. It has to be simple. Unless this People Mover is seemingly part of the subway or the light rail aspect, that it goes right in and moves within that process.
I just think people are not going to take it if they have to. I mean, you know how we all are when we go to the airport. We got stuff. And to get on and off, twice. My dream is to have a harbor line coming down to the cruise terminal. People pick it up, connect to the Green Line, and go straight into LAX and not, have to jump off to another form of transportation like a People Mover.
Well, your dream is actually part of the MTA's plan. To have the harbor line that begins in Wilmington, continues to LAX, and then goes north to Union Station.
Because, again, a great amount of traffic is on cruise ship day. Coming from, guess where, LAX, clogging the Swinford Avenue off-ramp. Or, of course, now they get to see a fountain while they're stopping traffic. But it's still, again, it's 2008. We're in the new millennium, and we have not figured out an international mode of transportation that would be convenient, effective, and efficient, connecting LAX
the ultimate dream
to
is
destination parts beyond.
The Aviation Century stop, which should be the stop that all the other dream sheets that come into that airport area stop. You get your bags off at the Aviation Century, and you get on the last leg, which should take you all the way in. So when you're thinking out of the box with MTA, and you're thinking out of the box with our own architectural design of the People Mover, that's the dream. Because Ms. Hahn's right. When you get on that light rail coming off that plane, the only thing you should do is stop at aviation. Then if you're going to go downtown, you're going to go to the harbor, you're going to go to the valley, wherever all these other projects, the Crenshaw line, happen, they could happen in the multimodal system.
Absolutely.
But then
Right.
to have to do another stop
Right.
from the second stop into a people mover.
Right.
is
Unless
the problem.
in somebody else's plan, I won't mention their name, there was a remote check-in. If you can check your bags in at Manchester Square and then hop on the people mover, then it makes sense.
Well, that's
then
all part of the specific plan
Yeah.
EIR that's going on right now, Ms. Hahn. We're looking at how we use Manchester Square to the best.
What a concept, a remote check-in.
When
I
will
know I've
the
read that
LAX
somewhere
EIR
before.
be complete?
It looks like the draft EIR for the specific plan. It looks like the draft EIR probably at the tail end of 2009. That would just be the draft, and then we go through public comment before it finally becomes certified somewhere after that. So we still have plenty of time of studying.
What I'd like is, as Ms. Hahn was saying, I'd like a report back on this Green Line Dream Sheet concept. If you can do that, and I don't know, what do you want, 30 days, 60, 90 days, somewhere in that time frame, what would be the most helpful for you?
Well, if I have those options, I'd take 90, but you tell me.
Well, I just want to be sure we don't miss any deadlines with MTA and with that.
Why don't I go back and speak to Roger and find out if there are any of those looming?
Okay. Because then it would be 30 days.
Right,
or
because it's
60.
clear from this discussion that you two have to be talking. LAWA and MTA have to be talking. I mean, just in terms of technological differences between a people mover and a light rail. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff. It has to work. If we go through all this and it's still a system that does not work, you know, all the upgrading we do is, we're still going to be, people will snub their noses at our less than state-of-the-art system.
And we don't want that to happen.
We don't. Okay.
All right.
Wait. Arnold,
Okay.
I believe you
Just
have.
before one other comment, I want to tell you, we are introducing a motion, today to bring the MOU together that would be LAWA, MTA, our office in coordinated effort. That motion will go through, but that's just to codify what we were just saying here now.
Great.
We want to see progress reports on that. But first time I've seen you on the other side of the thing here. Welcome into your new role. It's a blessing to have you at the
Thank you,
airport.
sir. Thank you very much.
One person's loss is another person's gain.
Good morning.
Yes.
The Green Line. If you want to see some progress, I suggest you get a good seat up in heaven, because probably around the year 2050, you might get a little bit of progress shown.
No.
It's not even on the 25-year. It's basically not even
You'll watch,
25-year plan. I'll watch. But what I wanted to say is, if you want to get some progress, maybe you can think of a different name for it, like the Coastal Green Line or the Beach City Green Line, or because that would give MTA an opportunity to funnel funds into another project that isn't going to be built with the same name. You have the Mid-City Connector. You have the Foothill Construction. You have the Mid-City Expo, Endor Expo line. You have the Subway to the Sea, the Red Line, the Purple Line, the Pasadena Gold Line, the Wilshire Corridor, the Crenshaw Prairie Corridor, the Expo Line Phase 2, the Orange Line, for 4 rail lines. Those are all the names that have been thrown out by Metro. How many of those are being funded right now as a different name for those 5 different rail lines? So that's why I suggest, if you can come up with a different name for the project, then Metro can say, hey, we can fund that too, and we can fund this one, and we can pocket money on the side. Because that's what they're doing. It's voted for, it's approved, just like they did with the Pasadena Gold Line, which morphed into 3 different construction authorities. Why? It was voted on. Same thing here. So progress, serving the public or making money? Which question do you think MTA wants answered? Thank you for your time and your answers.
Thank you for your pointed questions. Oh, you have 11 seconds.
The one thing I wanted to add is on your agenda item is different from your item on your in the meeting where you say you're looking for different sources. So I'd hope that you'd put that open for public comment.
Thank you. Okay,
We look forward to coming back.
thank you. We look forward to having you. Thank you. Okay, let's go to item 3, the harbor.
Under item 3, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for council approval 9 memorandums or memoranda of agreement pursuant to the Port's Air Quality Mitigation Incentive Program as approved by the board in December 2007 and in accordance with the 2004 amended stipulated judgment between the Natural Resources Defense Council and other groups and the City of Los Angeles and Port of Los Angeles. These MOAs, numbers 2612 to 2620, have been negotiated with the following parties to provide grant funds for implementation of air quality mitigation projects: American Marine Corporation, Arnold Lancaster, ABC Barge and Equipment, Catalina Freight Line, International Cargo Equipment, Long Beach Anglers, Pacific Maritime Association, Pacific Tugboat Services, and the Seal Beach Anglers. These 9 grant awards total approximately $3.3 million. The CAO has submitted a report and recommendation for approval of the memorandums.
Well, here we are, still trying to spend the money from the chain of shipping mitigation settlement. Remind us why these 12 projects require council approval.
Chairperson Hahn, Councilman Rosendahl, Mike Christensen, Deputy Executive Director of the Port. The reason these are coming to committee is because they are beyond 3 years. The terms of the agreement stretch, as I think you see in some information you have before you, between 5 years and 10 years.
Because you're recommending 23 projects to be funded out of this, but only 12 fall under that category that we need to approve.
Correct.
Correct. Okay, this is the grants that are awarded under the air quality mitigation. Are
That's
all of
correct.
these under that?
The
So
air
there was-
quality side of the China shipping.
So there was 20. There was 20 million in that pot of money, right?
Yes.
How much have we spent out of that?
Teresa?
Out of that, we have
Mm-hmm.
spent, we 21 agreements, 6.7 million. We do have 60 projects that had been approved, so we've been working towards moving projects forward. Some of the applicants then decided not to enter into agreement, and some agreements are still being processed.
So the process is still that PCAC makes the recommendation to the Board of Harbor Commissions for their approval, and then if they're over the certain years, then they come here.
That's correct.
And so remind us why it's taken so long to spend this money.
It's largely because of the projects coming forward and
Uh-huh.
getting those vetted, being sure that they actually meet the criteria of
Right.
the program. And one of the major items of the criteria is that it's not mandated otherwise. In other words, if it's required by CARB, if it's something that they're having to do under a lease, it can't be covered.
I see.
This is above and beyond the other mandates.
How many have come forward from PCAC that didn't meet the criteria?
I'm
A
not-
lot?
Teresa, do you have a feel
Well,
for
we
that?
had 97 projects that we've already evaluated.
Right.
And our first group that looks at those is the Technical Advisory Committee.
Right.
Made up of agencies. And so
Right.
of those 97, 60 of those were eligible projects under
Okay.
the program.
So that's
And
pretty good percentage.
it's pretty good. And then out of those 60, then, that's what we're working on. Currently, we...
So
we're
out of those
evaluating-
60, you only have 23 that are proposed for funding.
This is the third round of funding,
Okay.
so 23 out of this current round.
Okay.
We're actually,
So by the time we get done to these, will we have done all 60 projects?
after we do these 9 or these 23,
Right, these 23?
once we get through these 23, we have about, I believe it's like 5 outstanding
From,
projects that
out of
have,
the out of the 60.
out of the 60, yes. Out of the 60, once we approve this list of 23, I
Right.
think we'll still have about 5 projects that we're working out some project detail on, because since the project was approved.
And then how much will that have used up the 20 million?
No, then we will have 8.9 million left, and right now we're evaluating 87 projects. And so out of that 87, I don't know how many will float to the top. But
In February of this year, we
But
put out
only
another-
8 million.
8.9 million and $44 million worth of projects, but a lot
Right.
of those are not going to be
Right.
eligible.
Right. Do you feel like there could be better staff assistance to PCAC for this process?
I'm not, no, I don't No, I don't think so. We have, there are some consultants for
Okay.
PCAC that do sit in on all the technical advisory
Okay.
committee meetings.
All right.
And I think with just the number of projects that are being evaluated, it does take some
Okay.
detail and time to go
Chairwoman, I
through.
think there's always room for improvement. One of the things, as this process matures, we seem to be getting better, a little more efficient each time. We've got, we'll continue to look at ways we can improve.
Right. Okay, I was surprised to see the Long Beach vessel, named City of Long Beach, in fact, getting some of our China shipping mitigation money.
Yes.
What do you have to say for
We
yourself?
we had the same reaction, too. They met the criteria.
Yeah, so this is open to anybody and everybody that meets this criteria.
That's right, Chairperson, because if it's not criteria-based, then, we would be in a mode of
Does
picking
this
favorites.
ship,
We don't want to go there.
does this vessel ever come into our harbor?
Yes. In
Oh.
fact, I believe it's San Pedro-based, isn't it?
Oh, well, it didn't say that.
Well,
It says City of Long Beach on the vessel, and it's San Pedro
No,
based?
it actually is based in Long Beach. However, they do operate 75% of their time within the program guideline
And
area.
what are they? Long Beach Anglers?
Long Beach Anglers, it's a charter
Fishing
charter
boat?
service.
Sport
Yes,
fishing boat, yeah.
Okay, and it spends some of the time off of what, 22nd Street or?
it does. And the criteria is 25-mile radius around the Angels Gate Lighthouse. That's how we determine
Oh,
where.
25 miles outside of Angels Gate.
Avalon, mhm. Because that's where a lot of.
Could that be
fishing
Newport
vessels
Beach?
operate. Well, we haven't.
That seems like that's interesting. Who came up with that
Well, there.
criteria? Was that in the, was that in the
That was the amended
stipulated?
stipulated judgment.
Oh, the amended stipulated judgment, because we weren't spending the money?
That I can't answer.
Okay.
And I think it was with the agencies when they set the guidelines in the beginning of the program, because it still does benefit our communities.
Do we have we kept track of how much
So
air pollution has been reduced since,
far,
for 4 years of this?
so far the figures I've got indicate we've had 10.2 tons per year of PM reduction and about just under 300 tons per year of NOx reduction. So it's making a
significant.
difference.
It's significant. Why aren't we doing as well in the Community Aesthetic Mitigation Fund?
I think, Chairperson, we could answer that with the same issues, is getting projects, is getting the word out to the community that we want to see projects that pass state lands
Right.
requirements that the board can approve.
Right.
We'd love nothing more than be spending more of that money.
Tell me about the expiration time of this money. And
I'm
what
afraid
what
I don't
happens?
have a lot of details on that. Teresa.
June 2009, money has to be dollars committed to projects by. Or all the money from the China shipping settlement goes to an air quality fund to be administered by an outside group. That is not yet determined.
One of the ideas was it could be this new nonprofit set up through the TRAPAC mitigation. So it doesn't revert to the harbor's general fund?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. And I might mention that at our next Board of Harbor Commissioners meeting, there will be some more money coming into the Air Quality Mitigation Fund because of overages under the amended stipulated judgment in throughput. So there's actually more money still coming into this fund.
To you, would it be your recommendation to allow that June 2009 date to come and revert this money to this air mitigation fund? Or would it be a recommendation to ask for an extension so that it could still go through this process with citizens recommending?
I'm not sure we're in a position to make that
Okay.
recommendation.
Is somebody thinking about that, though? Who would make the request for an extension?
I think it would have to be the parties to the judgment that would have to decide that.
Okay.
So it would be quite a number of people.
Okay. Maybe we find out a way to get a report on that, because I don't want that date to come and go and not have decided what to do with this money.
There will be definitely an opportunity to discuss that with our board at the next meeting when this new funding comes up.
Okay. Questions? No. All right. Well, we appreciate you bringing this forward to us. This has been a painful process, and we want to see this money spent.
Agreed.
So,
So moved.
okay, so moved. Oh, thank you. Oh, Arnold. Come address us.
Couple of quick questions.
Right.
Good morning, Arnold
Seal
Sachs
Beach,
again.
we got a Seal Beach.
The Air Quality Mitigation Incentive Program, why isn't there one at LAWA? Or is there one at LAWA set up? Same kind of program for pollution control. The 25-mile radius that was mentioned, is it based on coastal distance or is it a straight line distance? And how would that map out? Could it go to Huntington Beach?
That's what I
Could it
just
go
said.
to Torrance?
Exactly.
Could it go to Redondo Beach? Could it go to Santa Monica? Could it go to Avalon? I'd also like to know, something was mentioned about required projects can't be funded, or these funds can't be used for required projects. That really doesn't make sense. So if the project's not required, it can be funded, which would be the antithesis of what was said.
Wow, sometimes you make sense.
Then, well, thank
That's
you.
true. Lots of times, Arnold.
Then I also, since this is the harbor, can we get an update on the shoreline project that you were questioning when they were building the walkway through the parking lot? They've never come back. And the $90 million that was allocated for the portable container inspection unit. Could we
Where's
get an update on that? Thank you for your time and your answers.
Thank you for your always remarkable questions, cutting to the heart of what we do here in the city of Los Angeles. Okay, we will approve that. We encourage you to move these projects forward, bring them to us, the ones that we need to approve, and we're ready to do so. Good job. Okay, we do have, we were done with our agenda. We have a couple of public comments. Chuck Tannen and Arnold Sachs. Arnold, go ahead.
Yeah, it was a good word.
Well, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Makes sense
Good
to you
point.
people, but it just doesn't make
Not always.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Arnold Sachs again. Couple of questions, or a couple of follow-ups to last meeting when you had the excellent follow-up to the contract questions regarding the awards at LAWA. Candid questions, the grilling by the council members. It was almost a regular beatdown, the horrors. But please, nobody really mentioned what information was provided that offered a four-vote swing, because the original vote was 4-1 in favor of People A, and then the second vote was 5-0 in favor of People B. So that means there was a 4-vote swing. I must have missed that information. The relationship with the director. She had a previous relationship with somebody. They weren't included in the hearings. But nevertheless, is there a conflict of interest? And the contractor who led the previous expansion back in the early 80s, were they included in this bid process? And if were they one of the finalists, or were they awarded the bid? Because there was a lot of complaints there was a lot of discussion at LAWA, because there was some slowdowns in the construction or the remodeling, because they were finding things that were hidden or not shown on the original blueprints from that expansion. So I was just curious. Nothing was mentioned about that, and nobody really mentioned about the $4 billion increase in the project, from $2.2 billion to over $6 billion. Plus, I'd also like you to know, Ms. Hahn, that I mentioned the fact that they should consider a flyaway to the ports,
Yes.
and they should also consider a flyaway to Norwalk Metrolink.
Yes.
And
I
that's it.
agree.
Thank you for your time and your answers.
Thank you, Arnold.
You always come up with good things, Arnold.
Okay, Chuck,
Good guy.
who should
Lady
be
gave me your card
you
there.
should be interested in this clean
Well, yeah, she mentioned
engines for
I had a
anglers.
meeting last
I
night
know.
with those people. Gee, it says on here, "Stop the violence and all live in peace."
I love
All your people in your community wanted one of those.
I love it.
Anyhow, I did want to take the time to do this. Janice Hahn's $30 million parcel tax to fund gang prevention, youth programs, and intervention programs. In the paper the other day, Greg Smith, who supported her motion in the Daily News, says it won't get the voter support. Well, Greg Smith, why don't you support Janice's 2 big projects coming up to raise funding for these projects? And you know what? And I asked Bill, what can you bring to the table? If you do that kind of thing, the public will support it. And what I'm talking about is on the theme, Stop the Violence, We Can All Live in Peace. It's 2 proposed projects to fund youth programs in the community and citywide, spearheaded by Janice Hahn. And the first one is Janice Hahn's 100-word essay contest and her music project, but the contest is open to all kids, and it was so well received. I couldn't believe it, even the police, whatever.
It was great.
And the event, headed by Janice Hahn, kids tell us a lot in essays, and believe me, they do. Solutions and ideas, and we came up with some great incentives, and they all want to do it. The second thing, the bigger project, is the music project. And the purpose of that is to send a powerful message in the prevention of gang violence through this essay and through music. It's a 2-part thing, but most importantly, to raise funding for the youth programs, to encourage the kids to walk a straight line, who are the future of this city. And Eric Brown, he loves it in that, but you know what? These 2 events can be a big citywide thing. Everybody I talk to, they all want to be involved. They think it's the most wonderful thing. And you know what? You have a great lady here that's going to get a lot of funding, a lot of support. You weren't at that meeting, but gosh, they were all, what about my kids? What about my kids? And it was my idea. I told Janice about it, and they're so excited. And the police captain and the sergeant said, you know what, we want to get involved in that, because we could take those things and use them at different programs to fund. So if one thing won't work, there's always a way to do another thing. And I'm glad I came in also. The lady was talking about the magic word, anglers.
Right.
And you know what? The consensus, I went to a meeting last night, and you know what? All those boats and all those people are going to lose so badly, and a lot of them are going to go out of business. And why? Because in the focusing things, one of the things, the closures come in July. This city should minimize it, the effect, because
What closures?
the offshore closures, marine parks and that, and places where the boating industry and whatever.
From the state?
You know, one thing I have to say, I know
Yes,
it's
you gotta-
late and I'm
yeah,
past.
gotta wrap
I got to
up.
go. But
We got to go to council.
Central Coast, $1 billion they're losing. And it's going to come here next. It's stated for July, and unwarranted because they want too much. And this city needs to minimize it and find ways of doing it. I know
Right,
Bill's
thank you,
going to get
Chuck.
involved in your project.
Thank you, and thank you for all your work with young people. You're saving lives.
You know what? Those people were so, if you were there, they just were.
Okay, great.
And Eric did a great job.
Thank you.
Eric did a great job.
Good. Thank you, Chuck. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Gee, Chuck, how many times could you mention my name in one?
I'm going to do it the other thing.
Wow.
You know, I didn't have time to type it up the right way, but I wanted to